Hey everybody, welcome back to Vegas Tips and Tricks for a Saturday, December 28, 2019, the last show of the year of the decade. This week's show we're calling Walk, Rest, and Play. You'll find out as we go along. First, a few housekeeping notes. Okay, just a reminder, we will have a show on Wednesday. It is our Vegas Favorites special. I'm not calling it the best of Vegas because I don't think any of us know that, but I'm going to pull together all of the poll results from the Vegas Tips and Tricks group and talk about who the winners were, who the favorites were in the group. So that should be kind of fun, and I'll give some of my comments as well. And on January the 8th, we will be back with a live stream previewing Vegas 44, my trip to Las Vegas, January 14th to January 19th of this upcoming year. And there has been a small change to the accommodations on this trip. Originally I mentioned spending a couple of nights downtown, and then I was going to spend one night at the Rio and my last 2 nights at the Wynn. Well, I hadn't actually booked those nights at the Wynn yet through the Wynn Slots app. I was kind of waiting. And I noticed earlier this week all the prices dropped. And suddenly I could book Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night at the Wynn. And that just seemed too good to pass up. So I'll actually be at the Wynn the last 3 nights I'm in Las Vegas. I haven't canceled the Rio yet. I might go out there, check in, spend part of the afternoon, do a room tour for you. Not really sure about that. I'm probably not going to be spending a lot of time around there. So there you go. Should be exciting. Looking forward to it. Probably spend a lot more time on the sort of north end of the Strip, checking out Venetian, Treasure Island, some of those places. So looking forward to that. Now, time for the news. So the big news this week was that the newest pedestrian overpass in Las Vegas is open. It runs from the Showcase Mall just to the north of the MGM Grand, across the street there by the park and the T-Mobile Arena. And I think probably the logic of building that one now was the number of big events that do take place at T-Mobile. I'm sure the traffic across that intersection was pretty intense before and after events, so that should definitely help with that. That story brought to mind a couple of issues related to those pedestrian overpasses. First are those darned escalators. Why do they never work? So I hunted around, I did a little research. The oldest of those escalators, the ones down by Tropicana and Las Vegas Boulevard, were put up in like 1995. Now I think some of those have been renovated in the last couple of years, but you've got in some cases 20-year-old or older technology, and in some cases the parts to actually repair these escalators don't even exist. They have to make parts in order to fashion the parts themselves in order to repair them. So that's been a problem. The elements are a problem. Anytime you have an outdoor electronic device like that, certainly in the rain and snow, when it rarely occurs, it's not going to be a very safe thing, so they're typically shut down then. And you get a lot of dust and sand and God knows what else that slips into the cracks and crevices of those things, turning them from escalators to stairs. And of course, they are, as a point of fact, maintained by the county. So these are not maintained by the individual properties or some consortium. It is a public institution. Of course, the maintenance of some of the Las Vegas properties suggests that maybe they wouldn't do much better a job, but again, you're dealing with a big bureaucracy, you're dealing with a fixed budget, you're dealing with, a lot of other maintenance issues around. So those are some of the reasons the escalators tend not to work. I suspect they work a lot more often than we think, but we notice them so much when they don't. Now those walkways that are within some of the individual casinos and shopping areas, those are maintained by those individual properties. So in that case, I guess you could complain to Miracle Mile shops or Venetian or whatever in terms of those issues. But the other thing that came to mind is conversations that I've had in the past with other Vegas people about other places we need to build these overpasses. And just kind of brainstorming myself, I thought to myself, well, There needs to be something done there by Paris and Bellagio. There's a lot of traffic there. Seems kind of dangerous. It looks like the parting of the Red Sea sometimes when all the people are crossing there. Another place that came to mind was at right there where you cross from Mirage over to Harrah's. It's another spot. Possibly up by Sahara. Possibly there by Circus Circus. There's quite a bit of crossing right there by where the Riviera used to be. And then I did a little research, and it turns out pretty much all of those spots are planned. They are going to have pedestrian overpasses within probably the next 5 years, certainly the next decade. The next one that's planned is actually there by Bellagio. It's designed to go from right outside Bellagio across to Planet Hollywood. I suppose you've got to sort of keep the current pedestrian crossing in place, so you can't just build it right over that spot. But that should essentially deal with what I think is the biggest problem of pedestrians crossing the street in Las Vegas. But in addition, they're going to build apparently 4 of the pedestrian overpasses right there at Sahara and Las Vegas Boulevard. That almost seems overkill. There's not that much there, but there might be in the future. There are plans to build one from Caesar's Palace to the Link, which I think would basically deal with the problem that I talked about there by Harrah's and Mirage. And plans to build one next to Circus Circus. Again, with the opening of the expanded convention center, that could be a big factor as well. And supposedly at some point one that would cross somewhere further south by Resorts World. So all of those overpasses are apparently in the pipeline to happen at some point. The first one is supposed to get started in 2021. So we might be looking at 1.5 to 2 years until we no longer have to deal with that traffic by Bellagio and Paris. So anyway, that's the news for today. Now, our Vegas tip. As I mentioned in the past, the Vegas tip or trick can be big or small, short or tall. And this week we have kind of a little tip, but it can be also a very big tip, particularly if you're a light sleeper in Las Vegas. And this week's tips comes partially, at least, courtesy of Mary Decker, who messaged me a few weeks back with a tip that she had, and I decided to expand on it a little bit. If you are a light sleeper, Las Vegas is not a good place for you because there's bright lights going almost 24/7. There's people out partying in the street, clubs, music going almost 24/7. You know, maybe things kind of subside around 3 a.m. But again, you still got those blinking lights going. And then, you know, just as you doze off, it's morning and there's the garbage truck. Or there's construction happening across the street, or the maids are running up and down the aisle. It's not easy. I mean, you know, I just pass out at 3 a.m. and wake up whenever. Doesn't matter. But if you do have problems, there's a couple of tips. One of them courtesy of Mary. She says bring along a few clothespins because those drapes in Las Vegas do not always close tightly. They don't black out the light. There you go. Clip them shut, no light. Second one, courtesy, I mean, this is a pretty well-known one. Some hotels even have this, but consider some earplugs. Okay? It's not just the light, sometimes it's the sound that's the issue. So, you know, clothespins, earplugs, and, you know, maybe your sleeping issues are solved. Even if you're only planning on sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night, at least you can get some good quality sleep. Thanks to Mary for that tip. She will be entered to win a fabulous Vegas prize to be announced later. So we've walked, we've rested, now we're going to play at our Vegas resort of the week. This week we're going to talk about the Cosmopolitan. I mean, arguably the Cosmopolitan is the most talked about resort on the Las Vegas Strip, and one of the most unique. Most unique? It is unique. Let's put it that way. For one thing, you have a 3-story casino, hotel, resort. Now, I think all of the gaming is on level 1, but you have restaurants and clubs and bars and stuff on all 3 levels, which is unusual. The major reason for it is not because, you know, it was an intended design structure, but because there was a very small footprint for that hotel and casino. If you really look at where the hotel towers and the parking garage is and compare it to the size of some of the other properties in the area, Bellagio, I mean, it's dwarfed. So in order to get everything in that they wanted, they had to go up. And it actually turned out to be really cool. The escalators there almost always work. And it does allow you a little separation. Now there are food outlets on the first level, but again, most of the food and beverage is on levels 2 and 3. And one of the reasons the Cosmopolitan is such a delightful place to stay is because of the variety of food options. And it's not just high-end stuff. Yeah, you can go to the places with the celebrity chefs and the price-fix menus and really enjoy a top-of-the-line food experience, but there's also plenty of moderately priced establishments and even a few budget-friendly places. Heck, you can go just grab a slice of pizza. Or you can check out one of the most unique and interesting, there's unique again, interesting food courts you'll find anywhere, which is Block 16. Had the hot chicken there, but there's all kinds of interesting sandwiches and pastries, and it's a really interesting place at a reasonable price. Some of the more expensive and high-end hotels often neglect that sort of lower price point, but not so much at the Cosmo. Cosmo also has a fabulous pool and a fabulous pool day club sort of party with marquee. If you want some entertainment, just watch people lining up to get in. It's quite a show. And Cosmo's quite a show, period. It is very attractive to the young, hip crowd. It's the fun place to be in Vegas, or certainly one of them. And so particularly at nights and on the weekends, you'll find the place is hopping. It is hopping. It will contain many bros and woo girls from time to time, so if that disturbs you, perhaps it will not be your favorite place. But the casino itself is really pretty fun. It's not the biggest in town, but it has a good variety of games. I've never been particularly lucky there, although I did notice I had a decent hit there on my last trip, but it is a fun place to play. The casino bars are fun, particularly the chandelier bars. They have a number of custom cocktails, which they are famous or infamous for. Normally they run you like 16 bucks, and in order to get one comped, you have to get 2 drink tickets. We'll mention that in just a minute. But they're pretty cool. I mean, I had the verbena, which is the most controversial of their cocktails. I enjoyed it. Many people turn their nose up to it, and that's fine. But just keep in mind there's a lot of interesting craft cocktails you can pick up there. And again, if you do play long enough, you can get one comped, or you could when I was there most recently, 6 months or so ago. The casino bars do use the drink ticket system, so while you'll normally get one complimentary beverage if it appears you're about to begin gambling, typically if you play at a reasonable pace, after about 15 or 20 minutes you'll get another ticket and so forth. They can really start to add up after an hour or two of play. You only have a couple hours to redeem them. So it hasn't been my experience that it's that difficult. If you're kind of a slow play person and you don't keep up a very good pace, you may not get tickets very frequently. But a fun bar environment. Like I said, a lot of fun restaurants. The only show on site is Opium, which has gotten decent reviews of late after kind of a rough start. It's another one of those Spiegelworld productions, so definitely worth checking that out. In the wintertime, they have pseudo ice skating available, so there's something to do. And probably the most impressive thing about the Cosmopolitan is simply the rooms themselves. They are big, modern, recently redone, and feature some of the best views in Las Vegas. And those views are enhanced by the fact that many, if not most of the rooms, have a terrace of sorts. That's right, you can go outside in Las Vegas and take in the view. You might have a spectacular view of the center strip or the airport, or that most desirable view of all the Bellagio fountains. Now keep in mind, it's not cheap to stay at the Cosmopolitan. They don't comp just everybody, although they've been known to give out a few teaser offers here and there. You're going to have some pretty moderate to heavy slot play to expect to get free rooms here. But a lot of people put that in. If you're fortunate, you can recycle that money quite a few times. If you have to pay, it's not cheap. And the cheapest rooms, the city rooms, do not have terraces, so keep that in mind as you're looking at options there. The terraces range from relatively small, just kind of outside your bedroom, to ones which wrap around the building 180 degrees. So if you do want the Bellagio fountain view, you'll probably have to pay extra for it, unless you can use that old $20 trick to finagle your way into it. And there are better floors and better towers to view that from. I know we have a number of Cosmopolitan fans who are subscribed to the channel. So if you have any specific tips on towers and rooms, and room floors for people, if they really want the best Bellagio fountain view, leave them in the comments below. It'd be very, very helpful. But the Cosmo, again, and it's got a great location. One of the nice things about it is you can literally walk into the casino off the Strip. I mean, try that at most of the properties on the west side there, where you've got Bellagio and Aria and Caesars. They're all set well back from the sidewalk, but Cosmo in and out very quickly. And you know, it's just overall a really good location there by City Center. Traditionally, we always think of Flamingo and Las Vegas Boulevard as the best place to stay, but you know, it's kind of moved maybe a little bit to the south. Cosmo's pretty hard to beat. So Cosmopolitan is our choice of the week. 3 layers of joy, lots of good food, one of the top buffets in town, a great pool scene. What's not to like? Hey, even if you have to spend a pretty penny to stay there, it's probably worth it. Just keep in mind, you might be spoiled and not want to stay anywhere else. So that's our show for today. I think we wrapped it up a little bit quicker than in the past, and that's good. I don't need to keep you here looking at me for 20 minutes every week. And I do want to thank everybody who's watched this show, everybody that's subscribed to the channel. Hope you had a Merry Christmas. Hope you will have a very Happy New Year. Again, join me New Year's Day for the best of, or the favorites of Las Vegas. Until then, I hope that you have a great and lucky week, and we will see you soon.